I came to hear about the Wadley-Paringa Aboriginal Research Unit some 2 years ago. I'm now pleased to be working there as a senior cultural advisor, and I'm working across 3 health portfolios: the Aboriginal Diabetes Study, the SA Heart and Stroke Plan, and the Cancer Data and Disparities Research Project. So we're looking at doing that research, our research, the right way, which means that we are approved by SA Research Ethics Committees, and we have a full involvement of the Aboriginal community in our projects so that we're informed and guided by community stakeholders.
So the priorities principle in the Accord to me is about working in partnership with the community and identifying what their local community needs are in terms of research. If there isn't that partnership approach and it's not a community priority, there's less likely to be community participation and support for the project. There really needs to be driven by the community. The research needs to be relevant and produce tangible benefits for the community.
Okay, so the involvement principle is really about ensuring equal and equivalent partnerships and relationships with Aboriginal communities. So the involvement principle talks about, researchers should be establishing formal agreements with Aboriginal communities in relation to how the research will work, where it identifies all of the kind of things that are highlighted in the other principles of the Accord. So, what benefit will happen for the Aboriginal community as a result of the research, what might be the translational outcomes, but it's really setting up those formal agreements and making sure that Aboriginal people are equal partners in that process.
So partnership for me is really about a two-way learning process. It's about working directly with community, not for them or on them. It's about learning from community and from the Aboriginal community-controlled health organisations as much as I can help support and facilitate the way in which they undertake their services.
Respect for me means acknowledging and respecting Aboriginal people's knowledge and their knowledge systems, and ensuring that Aboriginal people have ownership over that knowledge. Aboriginal knowledge is unique and it hasn't been privileged or respected enough in the past to be able to inform research to be done the right way for Aboriginal people so that it can generate the best health outcomes possible.
Communication for me is about having honest and open communication throughout the whole of a research project. It's about making sure that we listen and learn, and that's a two-way thing, that researchers are listening and learning right from the very start of a research project or a research idea, but also that we're allowing community to listen and learn about what we're doing and to actually be able to gain knowledge from the work that we're doing as well. So it's really important that communication be done in an appropriate and relevant way that's right for the setting, and that might differ, and that it actually has to be established to work out how to communicate, whether that be written or spoken or through a whole range of means of communication.
Reciprocity in research is really important, and we know this because a lot of our services and communities are often overburdened and underfinanced. So if we're going to be conducting research in communities and with our services, we need to be aware that we should be able to give something back to the communities and the services. What we don't want to see happen is that they become more overburdened, and quite often we'll find we'll have more success if we understand what their requirements are within the community, and whatever we're going to give back should be in accordance with what they need and aspire to gain and to share with their communities.
Ownership means acknowledging and respecting and protecting the intellectual property that Aboriginal people bring to the research being undertaken here at Wadley-Paringa. For example, I'm on the CANDAD project, which is the Cancer Disparities, an Aboriginal data project, and our Aboriginal Community Reference Group is a great contributor to that work. In fact, they're at the centre of the whole project, in my view. And they make a large contribution culturally and intellectually and in very, very pragmatic ways on how we can do the work and what it means and who needs to know what we're finding and how to go about conveying that information, which is a really rich time that we spend together. So part of our job is to make sure that the cultural contributions that those people contribute to our meetings are being recorded and they get minuted. Another point is that as the Aboriginal Community Reference Group share with us, we all learn and we grow stronger together, and it means that together we're doing something that is better than what we could do on our own, which is a great thing to be a part of.
Control is about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities having control in the sense of making sure that research is done with their consent. So control throughout all research processes, so right from the beginning in terms of is it a priority of the community in terms of having that research done. Control is also about having control in the sense of any samples that are taken from the research, whether they be biological or data, and ensuring that that is used appropriately and the community or even the participant, the individual, has control over that particular data in relation to themselves. So that means throughout any time of the research they can say they'd like to withdraw from the research and no longer partake in the research any further, which also means that any data in relation to them as an individual can be withdrawn from the study as well. Control is also about making sure that there is clear communication between each researcher involved in the research and also the communities and the individuals. So ensuring that the communication is transparent and open, and that the community is involved wherever possible in the research. So control is also about ensuring that the community has a right to say yes or no from the beginning of the research. So if the research is a priority for the community, then they can say yes to the research, but also if it's not a priority for the research, the community can say no. And they can say no at any time, and if there's something that they disagree with in terms of the research process or any of the elements of the research, the community has the right to say or to intervene and say that they don't agree with what's happening. But it's also about ensuring that the research is following the local protocols of the community as well, and that's really up to the researcher to be aware of those protocols, but also engaging with the community to ensure that they're aware of what they are.
So knowledge translation, what's that all about? It's really about trying to make sure that everything that we do within research is actually put into practice. We think about it all the time. How do we make sense of the findings of research and make sure that community, but also the people who are making decisions, policymakers, people in government, actually take the research on board to take action? What we need at the end of the day is to make a difference with Aboriginal health to the morbidity and mortality. So research must be translated and information must be exchanged from the research findings to really get to a place where we can make a difference. That's what's important in what we're doing, making a difference at the end of the day, and it must be through research translation.